Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle. Me, in my new series, Year 2020 Rick Miracle Report, number 13. In number 12, I was reading from this magazine. We are moving into the neck of the funnel. So it seems to me that the powers that be are discussing the global world order, new age, and all of this quite extensively. It's right out in the open now. And of course, everybody's noticing all the cell phone towers going up and discussion on artificial intelligence. And of course, the propaganda about sustainability, climate change, and all the other threats in our world, viruses and stuff like that. Even possible declaration by the World Health Organization, WHO, that everybody on the planet will be forced to take a vaccination. And apparently from the Club of Rome and the secret societies, it's common knowledge to a lot of people that the elites want to depopulate the planet. And apparently they're going to enslave the people that they don't kill. So it seems. And they have all these weapons at their disposal: microwave harassment, mind control experimentation. It's all documented. They had Senate hearings, and I guess led by the vice president back then. So I was reading from this. I thought I would continue with this discussion on these technologies likely being used right now and tested and perfected to control what we all think, even zap us, kill us, microwave beams or other energies like that. I know that they're taking out people like that general in Iran with a drone. It's just almost too much to believe, but I like having a conversation. And let's see if we can figure this out. So I left off with this discussion on these people being harassed or experimented on. And so I'll continue there and discuss a few things. But typically persons who complain of being zapped by radio waves or hearing voices are stigmatized as psychotic, delusional, and schizophrenic. So I know of one person who told me she's been to the doctor because she's being targeted, is what they call it, with artificial intelligence. And she even says the doctors are aware of an implant in her head, but they refuse to take it out. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube and websites and magazines. All of this appears to be quite real, which we will discuss here in this article. The existing directed energy arsenal. As you can see, I pre-read all of this. Our first step was to determine what, if any, technologies exist which might be used for electronic harassment. That information was found in a white paper published in 1991 by the United States Global Strategy Council. All this stuff can be verified. I've been looking up everything I read here. I've got the documents right here. All the stuff that I discuss, I've been looking up. Global Strategy Council, a Washington-based organization under the chairmanship of Ray Klein, former deputy director of the CIA, who maintains close ties with the United States intelligence communities. The white paper describes the foreign and domestic uses foreseen for laser weapons, isotropic radiators, infrasound non-nuclear electronic magnetic pulse generators, and high-power microwave emitters. And if you live in the United States, you know that they got these towers popping up everywhere. And you got this big, thick book, which is a book of meetings with, I don't know, maybe 100 different professionals on YouTube talk shows. And when they were making these videos with all these guests, you could order all of the interviews in this book. And it has the names in here and the discussions and everything. So these are professional people who understand this stuff, and they have a conversation like this page. If you take a 30-foot distance to the small cell and compare it with a 3,000-foot distance to the tower half a mile away, which we have right now, that's a 10,000 times higher radiation level that kids are going to be subjected to. So you can go get this book. You can go watch the videos. You can look up his name. And all those, they probably can subscribe to it. And it was a month or so I was watching those videos. So they had a lot of guests on there, experts. So all this is real and, again, verifiable. So back to this 1993 April 6 Contact magazine that you can find at this website. I hate to do this on every video, but maybe somebody didn't see. You can go look up the Phoenix Journals. There's the website there. www.contactnews10.com. The Phoenix Archives. I've been reading this stuff and collecting these books for years. Here's some of the Phoenix Journals. Whenever I can find them online at a reasonable price, I buy them. Rape, Ravage, and Pillage. Tangled Webs. Death Rattle of Freedom, The Plan 2000. And I have more. Human, The Science of Man. So apparently they have these technologies. They've been abducting people, imprisoning people, cutting out their brains, electroshocking them, drugging them, mind controlling them, having these people that are programmable, even using them as assassins, and probably causing shootings, school shootings, bombings by mind control people who conveniently get killed in the incident. So there's no evidence going back to whoever's doing what to try to get we people to believe something nefarious is going on, or we humans can't be trusted. But here it is in this Contact magazine that you can go look on that website and print these out. This one was 97 pages, and I have many of these. A couple of them I printed out, and many I will print out and continue to make videos. In my new series this year, 2020, Rick Marico Report. So U.S. Global Strategy Council, led by an ex-CIA man who has still close ties, the white paper describes the foreign and domestic uses foreseen for laser weapons, isotropic radiators, infrasound, non-nuclear electromagnetic pulse generators, high-power microwave emitters. The term non-lethal used to describe this technology is misleading. The energy emitted from all of these weapons can kill when appropriately amplified. And speaking of that, if you go drive down your street and some of these towers are right next to the side of the road, they have fences around them. But you can still get close enough if you need a pair of binoculars if it's 40 feet away. You can read the warning signs. But pay particular attention to the power cables to these radio transmitters. They're that thick around. So they can pump a lot of power into those transmitters. And you can verify it. You can read it on the sign. You can see the big, thick, black power cables going to the top. So listen to what this article says, and you decide. So the term non-lethal is misleading. The energy emitted from all of these weapons can kill when appropriately amplified. At lower levels, the amplification, they can cause extreme forms of physical discomfort and debilitation. So I suppose if they were to turn one of these transmitters on in a neighborhood, say where you live, and leave it on, let's say from midnight till 4 o'clock in the morning, and you would wake up in severe arthritis and pain because they would be literally cooking you like being in a microwave oven, and you wouldn't have a clue what had happened that night. Just saying. It's pretty scary stuff. And it's all, like I said, verifiable here. The Department of Army, DA, identifies these same weapons as non-conventional. They were so identified in an exhibit at a DA-sponsored symposium on the Soldier as a System in Crystal City, Virginia, June 30th, 1992. Beta wave incapacitors were separately mentioned during the symposium as being of particular interest to the U.S. Marine Corps. So this stuff, potentially, in the wrong hands, can zap people, just like you see here. Well, I believe even President Donald Trump claims, and so do many other people, I forgot the book, here it is, that the deep state is in control of our country. I could show you 500 books on this stuff. Even the Rothschild family writes a book, big thick book, Tomorrow's Weapons, Rothschilds. Plenty of people writing books. Psychic Dictatorship in the USA, Alex Constantine. And apparently it's all part of Satanism, secret societies, Kabbalah, the all-seeing eye on the back of the dollar bill, and all kinds of symbols. These people control our world and are trying to destroy Christianity, and they control these technologies. So you put 2 and 2 together. Back to this article. So the Department of Army identifies these same weapons as non-conventional. They were so identified in an exhibit at a DA-sponsored symposium. I read that. Beta wave incapacitors were separately mentioned during the symposium as being of particular interest to the United States Marine Corps. Beta wave incapacitors. And if you don't know what a beta wave is, let's say you get put in a trance, you're hypnotized, and you're not aware what's going on, and the guy tells you to hop around like a monkey or something. So you're in a trance. That's beta waves. You get in a deep trance, or when you're sleeping, you're in alpha waves. You can look this stuff up on the internet, the different alpha, beta waves, and see the different frequencies. And you'll learn something about this stuff. Speaking of that, let me just part from this article. And I was doing some research. I want to tell you a little bit about these waves in your brain. On the top it says here, suicide can be induced. And I was looking under mind control, Yahoo images, and I saw this page. And I saw the suicide can be induced. And we know we got these people shooting up schools and killing themselves. And apparently the government, as I'm reading here, was heavily involved in creating assassins and mind control people. This is the technology and warfare tools they have right now, and they're putting those towers up everywhere. So apparently at the end of the day, the average citizen who happens to become aware of these activities and tries to talk about them will become the enemy, which is why July 2019, YouTube canceled my channel, and the other social media sites canceled a lot of other people's channels and websites, and it just goes on and on and on. The evidence is becoming quite clear. But let me read this one page. Through ferocious anti-humanitarian means, the extremist groups are fabricated. So they're fabricating these extremist groups. The troubles and bloody disturbances are instigated by advanced telemeans via Russia satellites in many countries in Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. And if you pay attention to the news at all, you know they had riots in Brazil, they had riots in France, and I was watching a video today, riots in Lebanon, and all of these uprisings in Iraq. And here in the United States, the Women's March, apparently it was published that George Soros donated $250 million to the Women's March organization. So that these marches could be organized in our city squares all across the country. None of this is incidental or homegrown. And apparently they use the Freemasonic lodges, which has members that belong to the community, and they get the people riled up, and whether it's climate change or sustainability or whatever issue, transsexual, new age, homosexual, pansexual, whatever they are, anti-Christian rhetoric, it's all organized. And they have these technologies to get into the minds of people's heads. So it says here, another source says that these have been fed with the world's languages. So they're using mega computers, and they have all these Wi-Fi transmitters, and they know how to tune into your brain. It says it in this article here, and I'll tell you where to find this information. So they have all the world's languages, and you've seen some of those devices you can speak into, and it translates it into Spanish for you. The advanced technologies are amazing, to be honest, but they're using them to the detriment of we the people, apparently. And the synthetic telepathy will reach into people's... Well, phone interrupted me again. Back to this document I looked up. It says here that the world's languages and synthetic telepathy will reach into people's heads, making people believe God is speaking to them personally to enact the second coming, complete with holograms. So they do have a lot of advanced technologies. We're all aware of that. The Russians broke the genetic code of the human brain. They worked out 23 EEG band wave lengths, 11 of which were totally independent. So if you can manipulate those 11, you can do anything. The NSA, the United States National Security Agency, Cray computers can remotely track people just by knowing the specific EMF waves, evoked potentials from EEGs in the 30 to 50 hertz, 5 milliwatt range. So very weak signals. And they are building these towers everywhere. They can track all of us once they get a sample of your particular wavelength, because everybody's wave emission is different. We all have a slightly different frequency. So once they pick up on a sample of mine, they can pick it up by a phone call. My computer, maybe the TV can record me anywhere. Once they get a sample, put it in a mega computer, they have the sensors everywhere with these towers. Even fake church steeples and telephone poles. So that once they have your milliwatt, your low emission frequency, they got you. They can track you and know what you're doing. And probably take a microwave transmission beam or a laser beam from a satellite and pretty much have you burst into flames. That's crazy, I know. But go look it up. All right, so the Cray computers can remotely track people just by knowing the specific EMF waves, evoked potentials, EEGs, 5 milliwatt range of a person's bioelectric field. Each person's emissions are unique, and they can remotely track someone in public. Now, if this isn't horrifically frightening, though I don't know what is. So if this isn't horrifically frightening, what is horrifically frightening? Evoked potentials officially do not exist in physics, but in 1873, a Scotsman, James Clerk Maxwell, discovered that electromagnetic waves have three components. He discovered waveforms that exist at a certain number of right angle rotations away from the electromagnetic field. These are hyperspatial components not subject to constraints of time and space. So my take on this is we are spiritual beings, and apparently, we have psychics and prophets, and people see ghosts and beings. Apparently, with the electromagnetic technologies they have today, they can tap into the ether field. And apparently, I'll just throw this out there too. According to my research, people don't die. I know that sounds crazy. What happens is called transition. So when we're spiritual beings, when this physical body dies, it's a physical molecular body, the spiritual entity leaves us and goes into the ether field somewhere. It's a fourth dimensional reality. So when you die, you like go to sleep for a second and you pop into this fourth dimensional field, and you're alive and well. And you go, oh my goodness, if I'd have known this, I wouldn't have feared dying. And apparently, I don't know what kind of schedule or what motivations gets people to be recycled, reincarnated into a physical body, but that would be a transition into a physical body when a baby is born. But when you die, it appears you died to all your family and friends, but to you, you just stopped looking out of these eyes and wound up in a fourth dimensional environment with family and friends. Or if you're evil, maybe it's not so pleasant. Anyways, it appears that they've tapped into the etheric field and the sensitive frequencies radiating from our bodies, so they can make us see things and think things that they want to. And apparently, according to my material here, we are dealing with the occult invasion, the subtle subduction of the world and church by Dave Hunt. Big, thick book. So back to this one page I found on the Yahoo image site for this mind control. So you had James Clerk Maxwell, 1873, discovered the electromagnetic waves have three components. And he claimed that electromagnetic radiation waves were carried by the ether, there you go, and the ether was disturbed by magnetic lines of force. And apparently a lot of the concerned UFO aliens popped into our reality after the two nuclear explosions in Japan. And apparently many of the books I have on UFOs and aliens talks about these beings being concerned about those nuclear explosions. And so maybe that even though they're not in our physical reality, maybe the nuclear explosions can disturb the fourth dimensional reality, causing problems for them. Just theorizing, thinking. The hidden component is called only potential now, and not normally used except for covert hyperdimensional physics and to manipulate consciousness via electromagnetic waves covering vast areas of the planet. Okay, here's another thought. Nikola Tesla, when he was an old man, he would get on stage and said, I'm not the genius you think I am. He said, I'm hearing things. I'm seeing images, beings. I'm dreaming this stuff up. Somebody was feeding this to Nikola Tesla. And he was a psychic as a child. So you can see that there were evil forces feeding Nikola Tesla these advanced technologies to bring us to where we are today, where the occult forces control our planet, and they have all these technologies, and they plan on some very disturbing days in our future, as if the ones we have right now aren't disturbing enough. Psychic dictatorship with the mind control. Apparently, one person in 3,000 is sensitive to this magnetic waveform component, the telepathic types, according to a writer called MAJIX. I looked up MAJIX, not magic, MAGIX. I looked up MAJIX, and I couldn't find anything. But then I looked up MAJIX, and I put telepathic, and I found a whole page of links to this man who has a lot of information about the sensitive and electromagnetic sensitivities and control. MAJIX, and use the keyword telepathic if you want to search it on Google or Yahoo, etc. I did find some pages. I need to look at some of those pages and go over that material. We are all capable of tuning into this magnetic component by tuning our subconscious to it. Maxwell's successors thought potentials were akin to mysticism. Here we go again. So the mystics, the witchcraft people, occult organizations, have all of these advanced technologies, and they have a plan for enslaving the planet and depopulating the planet using the propaganda of climate change, sustainabilities, economic collapse, terror, and plagues, viruses. They have a lot of tools at their disposal. It seems this is what's going on. And you take notes, and when you watch my 30-minute videos, you can go spend an hour or two looking up all these words you write down that I share in these websites. And again, I have all the books here. I have about 2,000 books. And I've made a lot of videos, 600-700 on YouTube, 1,000 hours, and YouTube canceled my channel. I was becoming quite popular, and a lot of other people's channels got canceled. Brother Nathaniel, ex-Jewish rabbi who converted to Christianity, became a priest, and was quite popular. And they canceled a lot of people's channels and Facebook and Twitter accounts in 2019. And it's probably going to increase. And if you want to know what's going on, part of what I'm discussing right here is what it's all about. Some kind of mass mind control, propaganda, deception to bring about a global world order by some very evil forces. Okay. Tuning our subconscious to it. Maxwell's successors thought potentials were akin to mysticism because they believed that fields contain mass which cannot be created from nothing. This is what potentials are, both literally and mathematically, an accumulation or reservoir of energy. Consequently, this hasn't been taught in mainstream physics. Subliminal words in the correct electromagnetic field attuned to the human brain that express human consciousness can enter our minds at a subconscious level. Apparently, our brain activity patterns can be measured and stored in supercomputers. If a victim needs to have a subliminal thoughts implanted, all that is necessary is to capture the brain activity pattern saved on a mega computer and target or match up that person's pattern. And I don't know about you, but I get all these strange phone calls, computerized, and sometimes nobody says anything, and I'm just wondering if some computer isn't aligning and tuning up with my brain. Because they could do that. Well, you get a mechanical phone call about your health insurance or your automobile warranty is expired. They could be subliminally either taking your brainwave or implanting something into your body, frequencies. And I do have an electronic technology college degree. I did work at an aerospace company for 10 years, and I've been a techie type person all my life. So I'm convinced from what I see and the hundreds of people that were on the YouTube talk programs that this book was written from. They're all in here. A lot of professors and very smart people believe it. We can see the towers going up, and Elon Musk is supposed to be putting up 20, 30 satellites in space so that everybody is bathed in wireless energies. And now you know what they're going to do. The targeted or specified person is then sent low-frequency subliminal messages that they actually think are their own thoughts. The researcher Majix, M-A-J-I-X, says, our brains are so sensitive that they are like liquid crystal in response to the magnetic component of the Earth. We are sensitive to Earth's magnetic changes in the ionosphere cavity, resonate those frequencies ourselves. We're incredibly complex entities beyond the layperson's comprehension. Our brains are indeed a type of biocosmic transducer. That would be a transmitter and a receiver, a transducer. Physicists in Russia have conducted in-depth studies of the effects of the mean annual magnetic activity, electrostatic fields on human behavior and the physical body. These electromagnetic and electrostatic fields can be likened to what is popularly known as biorhythms. These magnetic frequencies can be manipulated. And I have more pages here. I'll be making another video on this topic. It's so crazy. So I believe I've pinned some of this down. There's a lot of writers writing books, psychic dictatorship, and apparently there's a lot of symbols out there with the occult, anti-Christian rhetoric everywhere. Even a year or so ago, they were putting the archway of Baal, the devil, in New York City, London, and later then through UNESCO, the United Nations Education and Science Department, they were putting up 1,000 archways to Baal all over the planet, paid for by the United Nations. Why would they put an archway in the main squares of our cities, 1,000 of them, with all the demonic occult symbols on it, the archway of Baal? And then, of course, Shiva projected onto the Empire State Building, and all the rainbow symbols on government buildings across the nation after the Supreme Court said that states can't interfere with the pansexual New Age propaganda. And apparently, these evil people have been in charge, I'll admit that, all along, but they were able to get away with it. Now they have to take a different approach, because as we have grown scientifically, education-wise, and can share information, they have to have some kind of means, if the public wakes up to the truth, of subduing all of us. And apparently these are the technologies they will use. So thank you for watching my video. Rick Miracle reporting.